How's it going? Chris Graham here for Wheel of Betting. Looking ahead to the Mercury Music Prize, the Mercury Prize, as it's been rebranded. The nominations came out last night, of course, and I made a video on this back in June. One of my 3 picks have made the shortlist, but and I'm going in again on that particular pick. But I thought I'd refresh my thoughts and get back to you on Wheel of Betting about this, the Mercury Music Prize nominations. And I'll be having 2 bets. Now the shortlist of nominations have been announced, and I'll start with one that I put up in June, and I'm going back in again, and that is Foals with their album Holy Fire. I think 11 to 2 is too big a price. They're third favourites. Too big for me. Like I say, I'll make the same points I made back in June. Their third album, their biggest yet, number 2 in the charts. It made outstanding reviews. This album got. This band sold at the Albert Hall back in at the start of the year. They headlined the Latitude Music Festival. For me, they're a Premier League band. This has been a year. 2013 has been an outstanding year for Foals. They moved into the Premier League. They're now a band that you would expect to see either headlining a festival or number 2 and number 3 on the main stage at a festival. They've reached that level, and so few are doing that at the moment. So few bands are moving up to that level at the moment. Foals seem to be swimming against the tide and doing that. So I think it would be a hugely popular win if Foals won this for their much acclaimed album Holy Fire. I don't think you find one person who would have a complaint against it. And that's why I think 11 to 2 is too big a price. I think their time is now, and I think 11 to 2 is a great shout. Disclosure are the favourites at 4 to 1. They've been backed heavily today, as I speak. I think they've got a big chance, definitely, but I still favour Foals. If you look at the history of the Mercury Music Prize, generally goes to guitar bands, and I think Foals fit the bill. They're established. They're much loved by, in terms of sales, in terms of critical reviews as well. Commercially and critically well received, and I think Foals 11 to 2 is a good shout, definitely. The real betting story in the last 24 hours has been the massive drift in the Arctic Monkeys. Pushed out from 4 to 1 favourites when these prices got chopped up after the nominations were announced last night. Pushed it to 14 to 1. So they've nearly 4 times the price now, which is extraordinary. 14 to 1, and for me it's got too big now. It's just too big, the Arctic Monkeys. Well, why would you back them? Well, I'll come to that at the end. I'll tell you why you shouldn't back them first, if I'm making any sense here. But they've won it before. Only PG Harvey's won it more than once. They didn't really fit the Mercury profile. They're already a well-established band. Usually the Mercury Music Prize tends to find an upcoming band. I think I still would put Foals in that upcoming bracket as well. I'm not contradicting what I said earlier. I still would put Foals in that upcoming, moving up to the Premier League. Arctic Monkeys are already there, definitely. But quite simply, this is like, their new album is like Sgt. Pepper in some ways. It's just, for me, it's the biggest album of the year. You could say it's the biggest album of the decade. It is a defining album for this band, the biggest band of the century for me, Arctic Monkeys. AM is a defining album at the moment, it looks like that, and I think there's a general acceptance of that. 10 out of 10 in the NME, first time I saw that since OK Computer, got that in 1997. Top 10 in America, it looks like being this album. This album has moved them into the Champions League, and they are just as well respected as the Queen when it comes to exports in Britain. They are a phenomenal band. Alex Turner is a phenomenal man, and if the Mercury want to make a statement here and say, look, this is, how can we possibly give it to anyone else? This band are the biggest band of the century. They represent everything that is great about British music. Then we just have to give it to them. We just have to give it to the Arctic Monkeys. And again, you wouldn't find one person complaining about that, and that's why 14 to 1 is just too big a price. They don't fit any of the trends, but what they do fit is just common sense. This is the biggest band in Britain, the biggest band of the century, and the Mercury should acknowledge that. And they should give them the award, because they're just amazing. And 14 to 1, my word, that is just too big a price. So that's my Mercury Prize thoughts. Foals, I'm going in again. I'm pressing up, as you guys like to say. 11-2 in Foals. And Arctic Monkeys, the biggest band of the century. I'm backing them at 14-1.